Hi. Okay. So my name's Mel Standbrook. You've probably read in the book already, I'm a police officer, which is a bit of a shock. But actually, I'm not going to talk as a police officer today. I'm a chair of governors at a primary school. I'm training to be a counsellor. And I've probably been bugging Andy for probably about 10 years now. So, yeah, I'll let you introduce yourself.
Excellent. Right. Good afternoon, everybody. My name's Andy Clarke. I am head of Spilsby Primary Academy. I was trying to make the distinction primary. We are from a primary school this afternoon. And we're just going to talk to you about the journey we've been on over the last kind of 4 or 5 years about focusing on social, emotional, mental health in schools. My background, I've taught across both key stages at Spilsby, various leadership roles. I've been kind of deputy through the head of school and then through the head teacher as well. Just a bit of a health warning before we start though. What you are not going to get from us this afternoon is, by focusing on social and emotional mental health in schools, it will increase your end of year data by X. You will not get that from us. I'm really pleased we got a laugh at that. That's horrified some of the speakers we've had to. It's so much more than that. And I hope over the next kind of 10, 15 minutes, it comes across just kind of the journey we've been on. I'm going to share a few stories with you about some of our children, some of our classes, and basically our why, what we're about, what we are doing. I want to take you back a few years. We had our year sixes, class of 30, very normal class. End of key stage 2, so before they left us to go to secondary, they achieved the expected standard in reading, writing and maths. We were over the moon. They got the government national standard in reading, writing, maths. Fantastic. However, I just want to pick up what I know Sarah's not here, what she said this morning that starts off about data and statistics not telling the whole picture.
So although our class kind of reaches that kind of expected standards, half of those had social and emotional well-being issues, ranging from kind of anxiety to attachment, and a whole other things that I will kind of go into later on in my talk. So really, myself and Andy had to kind of sit down and actually work out what our why is. Now, our why is something that we were taught a little while ago, and it really hit home with us. And it was actually, why do we get out of bed? Why do we do what we do? And kind of, well, yeah, why do we do it? Why do we help people? So, and actually, first of all, we kind of said, oh, yeah, we want to make a difference. Yeah, brilliant. Yeah, that's not great, is it? So actually what we decided to do is actually wanted to empower children to actually challenge people that were doing wrong, challenge their grown-ups, challenge their teachers. We are pupil voice ambassadors, ask our children. We wanted to basically give them a toolbox to help them in their future life. So whether they were dealing with something now or whether they were dealing with something later, they would be able to have the tools that were learned at our school to actually help them go on.
I think that's come through quite a lot this morning about how kind of issues, if they're not identified or helped to pick out early, then they can develop and manifest into other things. So that kind of year 6 class was very much our kind of line in the sand. We're not going to let this happen again. Yeah, okay, they went out academically bright, which was fantastic, but we need to unpick it a bit more. So just a little bit about Spilsby. I don't know if many of you are aware of where it is or what the school's like. East Coast, we're situated in the district of East Lindsey. We've got 210 children on roll, just one class per year. We are classed by the Department of Education as being in a socially deprived area. They've split every district into categories 1 through 6, 1 being low, 6 being extremely high. East Lindsey, Spilsby is category 5. So we have a lot of children and parents who are classed as socially deprived. With that, a lot of our children are classed as disadvantaged. They're eligible for free school meals, pupil premium. I'm aware I'm not talking in school acronyms, so there. So 40%. So 40% of children in my school are eligible for pupil premium. They're classed as disadvantaged. Also on the back of that, we've got a high number of young carers, which was a really alarming kind of a few years ago when we actually unpicked it and had the conversations with the children. We'll talk about more on that. So because of our needs, because of the deprivation, we do offer a breakfast club, which is free. So I want to mention that because I know ladies mentioned earlier about nutrition. So, okay.
Because of our family's vulnerabilities, really we wanted to speak to them. So actually we started holding kind of parent forums, children forums. We actually do monthly interviews with every single child in our school. So for 210 children, we actually get their voice no matter what, whether they've come to us or not, we all speak to them. So the feedback from there, actually, we highlighted the issues that we had in school, and I will read them off the card, was anxiety, emotional awareness, self-care, sleep, grief and loss, self-awareness, and attachment. Okay, so those were our initial issues. So as you can imagine, in a primary school where mental health doesn't exist apparently, okay, so those were our issues. So we had to really have a look at it. That list is fluid, okay? So the more knowledge that we get, the more learning we put into school, we realise that we have got other issues as well. So we do change that. So we realised that actually we had quite limited skills in school. We're teachers, I'm a chair of governors, I'm a police officer. Wow, my mental health knowledge, I didn't learn anything. So I have 17 years of being a police officer, so I have learned a lot more just recently. So what we wanted to do is basically reach out to different companies. 2 of us are here today, so we met with Think to Speak, we met with Supporting Minds at the back. So I'll go on to a little bit further about how we kind of moved on from there, okay?
So our first step was very much whole school ethos. You know, we just highlighted these needs, and for me, for Chair of Governors, it was mind-blowing. Not only for the staff, it's like, we have got these needs in our school. What are we going to do about it? I don't know. I haven't got the knowledge, so that's why we need help. So yeah, external agencies, yeah, there's not many about. We couldn't outsource, so we had to bring it in-house, which Mel will pick up in the year. For me as well, as kind of head teacher, I also had to change my why, as in what I'm about, what school's about. Kind of when I started teaching 15 years ago, you know, year 6 teacher, my why, I suppose, what I was about, what I was asked to do was to get as many children leaving primary school at expected standards. That was kind of my why, what it was about. I was asked to do that, last class in school. Okay, great. But because of the needs and because of everything that's going on, it's just got massive and massive and massive. Yeah, but it's not all about the data. It's not about how many children we can reach this magic number at the end of 6, 7 years of primary school. It's emotional, it's social. We want them to leave us just being a well-rounded individual, just generally kind and nice people. So we started off whole school ethos. It's not just me and Mel. Yes, we're here talking today. It was staff, it was governors, it was children, and it was parents. Just want to pick up on what Lizzie said 15 minutes ago. Parent engagement, parent stigma. Why are you teaching my child about anxiety? Well, okay, I know you're interested in it. Why wouldn't you? You know, if we can give them the tools and the keys now, it will help them in the future. So our first step, right, let's get parents in, let's have a chat with them. There's this grand idea about working with parents. So we held parent forums. 3 people turned up. Which is, okay, let's just start. So back to the drawing board. How are we going to get all our parents? We've got 210 children, 140 families. You know, we need to get out them. They need to know what our vision is and what we are doing. So where do we get most parents? Parents' evening. So myself, Mel, half a dozen children, every time a parent went into a classroom and came out, grabbed them, right, come into the hall, we had questions allowed, stick of dots, and we got 100 responses, which was, well, mind-blowing, wasn't it? It's just like, wow. I mean, I'll be honest, it was the kids. They grabbed him, and I just stood back and watched them, so it was amazing, fantastic.
So we initially changed, and I know social media comes across as really, really negative, but actually I'm not here to talk about it today, but I could talk forever about digital natives and digital immigrants. Okay, the children that are being born at the minute, they are digital natives. Their world is through social media. So they're not digital immigrants, probably like most of us in the audience, like myself and Andrew. Okay, so we don't understand it, but the kids' life is through digital media. I'm not here to talk about that, but a few years ago, we decided that actually social media, our children, our parents, were sitting on social media, so actually, why don't we have social media? Why don't we have Instagram? Why don't we have Facebook? Why don't we have Twitter? Why don't we have better links to our website? And actually, the uptake was absolutely phenomenal. Okay, and we've been to other primary schools and spoke about that because actually it was just mind-blowing. We do have a true open door policy. So if they contact us on Facebook, even at 11 o'clock at night, they will get an answer from somebody who's still awake, unfortunately me. Okay, so if they go on the gate, they will get Andy answering all their questions, no matter what, even if it's about another parent that's put something on Facebook at the middle of the night. Okay, we will answer that, we'll sort it out, and we'll problem solve it. We are passionate about developing staff and bringing the learning in-house, okay, because actually we are a school. we wanted to bring it in. Okay, so we've prioritised CPD, so training. So as everybody's performance management, so they get asked, are you okay? How are you feeling? You know, what could we do to make it better? Okay, so we've trained counsellors in schools now. The staff are more aware of mental health issues and how to identify, and we've got specialists in attachment training, learning needs linked with SEN. We've got a designated family welfare officer who's an expert in all things safeguarding. Unfortunately, she's not here today, but she would go proper red if she was. So staff have attended training on configurations of self, and by putting this learning in place, staff have actually been quicker to ID kind of social and emotional issues. We are proactive, we are not reactive, and I will go on to that in my next time.
Okay, so the journey started. We had parents on board. We knew where we were going. We knew what we wanted to do. The next step is the how we did it. This is the exciting part, and I'll come to in a minute. But already we were starting to notice the benefits because of the whole mind shift, cultural change about what behaviour looked like. Is it poor behaviour? Is it bad behaviour? Or is it something underlying? We have a red card system at school. Kind of poor behaviour is a red card and go and see the head teacher and all that. In the first year alone, our number of red cards halved. We had 54 in the first year. Sorry, I've got my nose wrong. It went down by 39, went 54 down to 17. All because of that eye-opening, right, is that poor behaviour or is that something else? Do we need to put something in place for that so it's not just regarded as bad behaviour?
So obviously we needed the extra stuff in the classes, so we approached Supporting Minds, who actually delivered a kind of group of workshops, I would like to say. They're actually 6 over 2 years, but we will be carrying them on. And they are on self-care, emotion awareness, they're on grief and loss. And actually, how many people in the audience have children that come home and go, I've done nothing at school today? I have. Okay, so what we did actually with the workshops, they're linked to a craft. So therefore, by Supporting Minds coming in with a professional psychotherapist, they run the sessions and then they do a craft element. So the child takes the craft home and the parent goes, oh, what's that? It's a worry doll. It's a dream catcher. It's something super cool. And actually, I've learnt how to do grounding today, Mummy, and I've learnt what anxiety is. And I've learnt how to look after myself. And actually, I need food and I need sleep and I need drink to make me grow. Okay, because that's how plants grow. And that's really kind of what we did. So we put those workshops in every single year group from year 1 to 6. So it wasn't those children that came up as vulnerable. It wasn't those children that were coming up and needed that one-to-one. Every single child in our school has a workshop in school.
So what I didn't want, I wanted to build on it, not just once a term, we have one workshop, that's it, done, make something, forget about it. So my pitch to the staff was, right, so we've got the workshops, which are brilliant. You need to do something else to promote well-being, social and mental health within your class. What you do is up to you. I don't mind, but it needs to manifest itself. So reception as part of their curriculum anyway, that the whole prime area is one of on personal, social, emotional development. They went down the mindfulness route. So they had kindness elves. I don't know if you've seen them. Pop and Sparkle, and they go on little journeys. And I think they go around do basically random acts of kindness all around. Towards Christmas, they raised food for the food bank and took it towards Christmas for that one. Year 1 and 2, they went down the yoga route. I think that was mentioned earlier. No, we do not have trained yoga professional people come and do it. It's very much kind of the exercises what Stevie showed us before lunch. The movements, the grounding, the mindfulness, just the general chill, calm down. So yeah, I haven't got 30 children in the hall doing downward facing dog or whatever. It's just kind of stretching, breathing, bringing it down. Year 3, they've got wellbeing slips. So every single child gets a slip with another child's name on it. And then throughout the day, they have to spot something they've done that's kind or nice. And that goes in a box and they get and read at the end of the day. Year 4, they've gone through 5 ways to well-being. So really, really pushing it about being mindful, active, connected, just generally talking to someone. We do have children in school who are very quiet and can go all day without saying a word. We want to bring them in so they're not missed. Learning, of course, and give to others. Year 5, also going down random acts of kindness. Now, year 6, they've got peer massage. Yeah, when I first thought, okay, all of this is going to go. It is literally what it sounds it is, massage. So at the end of lunch, Standard lunchtime, everybody's a bit high and coming in and a bit hyper. They sit down, they all sit in a line, and they start to massage each other. Head, neck, back. Honestly, it's brilliant. It is amazing. Just a real calmness after lunchtime. 5 minutes, straight back on with the learning. It's brilliant. She also does a lot of work on distributed practice. I know kind of metacognition and brain was mentioned before lunch. Basically, it's a break. So we've been working for 30 minutes. You can see the lull. Right, let's get up, have a dance, run around the playground for 30 seconds, come back in, focus. So it's a real breaking up like that.
Okay, so we brought in designated counselling from professional psychotherapists, also from Supporting Minds, and we funded training for our family welfare officer to be trained in counselling as well, because it was important, that whole school ethos, that getting people into our school and getting the training in school. We talked to the pupils already, but she does spend all her day talking to pupils, but actually wanted to give her a little bit of science to put behind it. Because actually we can all talk to children in schools, but actually what's the science? How do we know what the actual issue is or what those core issues are? So we just wanted to give her a little bit of science. So she's also currently in training.
Okay, so just from a budget point of view, by end of summer I will have 2 trained counsellors in school, which we have funded. So I mean that is kind of worth its weight in gold. Just obviously on the workshops and on what goes in class, every class also has an emotion ladder. So there's kind of half a dozen emotions on the door. Every morning when the child comes in, there's a peg with a name on it, and they pick whether they're happy, sad, tired, exhausted. So for me, as head, on my walk rounds with monitoring, I can see straight away, go into class, child X is tired, or angry, or upset about something. Even for me, it's just just to check in. Are you all right? How are you feeling? Are you happy? It's great. And, the staff have got one as well. Mostly on tired at the end of the day. But for the children to see that, if they're upset or angry, have we done that? It's a real win at the minute.
We have an accountable wellbeing team. I've already said we are massive ambassadors for pupil voice, okay? So what I would say to all our visitors in school, when they're asking me and Andy a question, oh, you're just a head, you're just a chair of governors, you're going to tell us the standard answer. What we say to all of them is go and ask our children. They'll be able to tell you. What we're saying is absolutely true, okay? And they are very, very honest. Okay, so the tree in Key Stage 1, we have a tree and they basically stick leaves on it and say, do you know what, I love this school because, okay, sometimes it's because of the playtime, but actually sometimes it's because of the maths, which is a surprise to me. Okay, so we really listen to what our pupils think. We have a listening tree on the foyer, so we have tips and tricks from the workshop, so don't watch a screen before bedtime, that is on there. We have kindness tea parties, and we also have grounding visual clues everywhere. So what can you see, what can you feel, what can you listen to, what can you smell, what can you taste?
I'm halfway through my college, but we're done. So I'm just going to rattle through these last 3. So as well as everything else, we also have a big push through the curriculum. We have a value the understanding of music, PE and reading, so we focus on that. We've also just been awarded the Wellbeing Award for Schools from the National Children's Bureau. I just want to make this point. We haven't done all this to get an award. We were doing this before, and somebody said, oh, have you thought about this award? Oh, no, great, fantastic. Can I just say, just before we do finish, it's been amazing to be invited today to be in a room full of people who actually get it and actually value it and understand what we're about. I will just finish with one quote before I hand over. Catherine Weave, most of you may have heard her, mental health and emotional well-being is everyone's business.
I'm not talking anymore. Any questions? You're going to pinch that one, aren't you?
I work at the Pilgrim Hospital School, which is a specialist school that supports young people who can't access mainstream for health reasons. And about 95% of our intake is for mental health. We're getting increased referrals from Key Stage 2 and Key Stage 3. So that's upper primary, lower secondary, for anybody that doesn't know. One of the things that we find when we do a sort of a timeline with young people to look at their journey to our service, which is normally when they're at crisis point, is that they have really struggled with the transition from primary to secondary. So do you have a specific transition programme, or do you hope that through the focus on resilience and coping strategies that are embedded throughout primary education, that takes them through?
When we initially started, we did have a transition issue. So no bones about it. We had a parent that came to us and said, our child in year 7 is now not going to school. How can you do something better in primary? So really, that was one of those, our first light bulb moments. That was why we changed our why. In actual fact, we give so much to our children throughout all years because you have built that resilience, you have built that toolkit. So children actually know, oh, this is anxiety. The butterflies are anxiety. So actually, I can put these in place because this is what I've learned at primary school. So actually, I must admit, I am aware that transition is a problem, but we don't find that transition is one of our biggest problems anymore because we've eradicated it earlier on, if that makes sense. Okay.
I think what you've said today is absolutely amazing. Thank you. My biggest thing is in primary schools, from what I was under the impression, that art therapy and music lessons were no longer being funded. Now, myself, as a child, found music and art fantastic therapy. It was a way of expressing myself without anybody else knowing what it meant. It was my own personal space. And that angers me, the fact that that is now not part of the curriculum, that's something that isn't being concentrated on anymore when it can give that person such inner peace. Thank you.
Sorry, I didn't catch that.
I'll just say, as a practicing musician and knowledgeable about the benefits of music, that does anger me as well. But that kind of leads on, I have to say, to a political agenda. So.
Yeah, if I could just kind of pick up on those points as well. There's so many stories in the press and recently about kind of the narrowing of the curriculum and just purely focus on maths and English just to generate those kind of outcomes at the end of Key Stage 2. We don't do that. We are all about the curriculum. Thank you. Just about the music, I'm really lucky, hold my hands up. One of my teachers is a music specialist. So I have, 2 years ago, I changed the timetable purely because of that. So she teaches every child, every class, every week, a proper music lesson. So instruments, just doing it right. Reading and art, yeah, it's all part of that. It is very much a creative curriculum. There's art. It's project based, so everything is revolved around that. We still do maths and English. Can't take them away. I'm still accountable for the data at the end of Key Stage 2. That unfortunately is what I get judged on. But like I said at the start, it's so much more about that, and it's been conversations amongst governors, trustees, and the rest that we're not about that, and that's it's a real eye opener for other people to think, oh, hang on, so you're not about, and so I think I'm doing the right thing. Luckily, my chair does, so I've got a job. So yeah, it's what we're about, and we make no bones about that. We are about social, emotional, mental health as well as the learning, and as well as grand scheme of things. If we get all this in place, then children should be happy and be able to achieve. And I can't ask for more than that, to be honest.
Do you mind dropping your question down a bit at the panel? Yeah. Have you got it? Thank you.
Lots of questions still remaining, obviously. Thank you.